Hello and welcome back. Before I begin, I have a bunch of new subscribers to thank. So, thank you to Grace Eichmeyer, Giada de Cavalieri, Roaming Booktuber, Amelia East, LMS 92, Karen Cameron, Tammy Johnson, Michael Craig McGee, Anglican Me, Sahara 1116, and Sean G 1979. Thank you all so much. I really appreciate your taking the time. And now, on with the haul. As always, this is going to be a haul from the Book Thing of Baltimore, a wonderful nonprofit that gives out free books every weekend and also accepts your any donations of unwanted books. And you can learn more about them at www.bookthing.org. And unfortunately, I remember in my last haul, I got only 10 books, which made me really happy. And this time around, I got quite a few more than 10. Which I guess makes for a better haul, but I'm not too thrilled about it because I do have a lot of space and time issues. But I don't know. Probably some of them will wind up going back after I've taken a closer look at them, but we shall see. First up, I got A Short History of Africa. This is a actually it's not a Pelican history. It's part of the Penguin African Library. And Penguin and Pelican are sort of, at least back in the day, were sort of sister companies. But Pelican did a whole bunch of histories of various parts of the world that are pretty good for the general reader if you just want an introduction. So I picked this up. And then I got Richard F. Burton's Wanderings in West Africa. This is not the Richard Burton, the actor. This is Richard Burton, the famous explorer and scholar. And it was actually pretty funny because they have an African American section at the Book Thing. And it's usually pretty picked over, and this time I went over and there were a ton of books in there. And the funny thing is, I got 2 books, but neither one of them was actually African American. They're both just about Africa. But we can't blame the volunteers for misshelving sometimes, I suppose. And then this is a genuine Pelican. This is the Pelican history, or it's volume 2 of A History of the United States, which is part of the Pelican History of the World. This is volume 2, The Growth of the USA, by R.B. Nye and J.E. Morpurgo. And I have volume 1, which is The Birth of the USA. I have not read it yet. And then I got Clive Barker's Galilee. I really enjoyed Clive Barker's Books of Blood, at least the first 2 volumes. The third one, there was one story that I thought was really good. Cannot remember the name of it at the moment, but it's the one about the sort of monster spirit thing in the bathtub, and I don't remember the whole premise, but it's like the hustler who sort of loses his soul to the thing in the bathtub. I don't know. Anyway, but I thought that story in part 3 was really good, but parts 1 and 2 I thought were a lot better. And then I read another story collection of his called The Inhuman Condition, which I really didn't like at all. And then I read The Great and Secret Show, which I thought was maybe a little on the long side, but overall I really liked. So I'm continuing with Clive Barker. I actually have quite a few of his things now that I have not read, so I probably need to get on that. And then I got The Sexual Outlaw by John, I have no idea how to pronounce his name, maybe it's Reiki, I don't know. But he wrote City of Night, which is one of my all-time favorite books, just a great novel about alienation and just the human condition. He was pretty prolific. That's the only one of his books I've read so far, and I am, again, kind of starting to collect, so... I'm sorry, this is going to be like the most depressing book haul ever. I'm just like, I got these books, I feel so guilty. Sorry. And this is The Secret Lovers by Charles McCary. He's one of the best-known espionage novelists, and I have his, I think, probably most famous book called The Tears of Autumn, but this one's supposed to be really good too, so I grabbed that. And then I got Tu parles le français dans tous ses états, which is basically a book about French used and spoken in various contexts, which I thought could be interesting and useful. And The Classics Reclassified by Richard Armour. I think I've talked about Richard Armour before. He wrote a bunch of basically little mock textbooks, very lighthearted looks at various subjects. Like he wrote English Lit Relit, American Lit Relit. It all started with Europa, which is about European history, Twisted Tales from Shakespeare, and I don't know, I find he's, I guess, a little, I don't know, maybe a little corny, but I find him really fun. And this is some sort of, there's some sort of moral lesson here. I'm not sure what it is, but far be it from me to look a gift horse in the mouth, but they've started doing this thing at the book thing that is driving me absolutely crazy. They have these they now have a case full of rack-sized paperbacks, which are the small guys, not the larger trade paperbacks, and they have them lying horizontally, but too deep. So you have one horizontal stack, another horizontal stack in front of it. And for a while it was okay because you could sort of tip the front stack forward and look, but now they have the front stacks piled to the very top of the shelf. So it's rather a complicated process if you're just one person trying to see behind. And on a couple of the shelves, they weren't even lined up with each other. So if you wanted a book, you had to move 2 front rows. It's really awful, but I was determined to look through because sometimes you can find some gems in that size. They tend to be really more kind of popular bestseller, not all that interesting stuff, but sometimes there's some great stuff. Especially some of the older books when they didn't really have trade paperbacks, it was either a hardcover or a rack-sized paper. So this is a lesson. It's actually paid off because I got The Affair of the Necklace, which you're thinking, why would I be interested in this thing? I'm not even that interested in the movie, and this is a novelization of the movie. But it's a novelization by Elizabeth Hand, who is one of my favorite authors. I had no idea she'd even written this. I knew she wrote some novelizations for Millennium, which is one of my favorite TV shows, but have not read those or even been able to find them. But she's written some great novels. She tends to work in the fantasy genre, but she's just started writing this mystery series featuring the protagonist Cass Neary, which is really good too. In fact, the first book of hers I ever read was Generation Loss, which was the first book in that series. So anyway, Elizabeth Hand is amazing, and she wrote this novelization of this silly movie, which I only found by digging through these horrible rows of books. And then I also found The Zebra-Striped Hearse by Ross MacDonald, which actually, this is another sad story. I have a ton of Ross MacDonald books, but this one is supposed to be his take on sort of the counterculture and the youth culture in the 60s, and I just thought it sounded interesting. A lot of Ross MacDonald books that I have not read, by the way. I don't think I've actually read anything of his, which is horrible because I love that kind of hard-boiled genre, and he's one of the greats. Or so I've been told. I haven't read him. Then I got this novel called Short by Courtwright McNeill. It's a novel. I have no idea who this Courtwright McNeill person is, but I like the cover, and it looks like some sort of nefarious business doings, which I always find pretty interesting. And then I got Liber Amoris, The Book of Love by William Hazlitt. Hazlitt was a famous 18th and 19th century critic, and this is his rather scandalous-sounding novel. And then I got E-Boys, The True Story of the 6 Tall Men Who Backed eBay and Other Billion-Dollar Startups by Randall E. Strauss. It's about venture capitalism and whatnot, but sounded pretty interesting. And I got Last Drinks by Andrew McGann. This is an Australian crime novel, basically, and it just sounded interesting, and I liked the title, and I really have been trying to stay away from getting too many sounded interesting like the title books, because when am I ever going to read them, but I don't know. And then I got Terre Haute, a novel by Will Aitken. And, oh, it wouldn't be a great book thing trip without a Faye Weldon book. This is Shallcut Crescent, and this is, I think, one of her latest books. It may not be her second latest. Oh no, because she's doing that silly trilogy that I forget what it's called. That it started with Habits of the House, which was just, I love Faye Weldon, but that book was not good. And she's basically trying to rip off the Downton Abbey thing, which I didn't even watch. I don't think I watched any episodes of Downton Abbey. It just doesn't interest me at all. I like the original Upstairs, Downstairs. The new one is horrible. It's just nobody comes up with anything interesting anymore. Just seriously, watch Upstairs, Downstairs, Duchess of Duke Street. Forget Downton Abbey and all that silliness. But anyway, so she's trading on that with this new trilogy, and God bless her, everybody needs to make money, but it's not that good. So anyway, I think this may be the one she wrote just before she started doing that. And the exciting thing is she has a new book coming out in the fall called Kahua, and my Penguin rep at the bookstore sent me a copy, and it's like, I have a Faye Weldon book, and it's clean, it's not used. It's just really exciting for me, which I have not read that yet. Then I got Valentine Rasputin's Farewell to Matiora. This is part of the Northwestern University Press European Classics series. I'd never heard of this before. It's about a peasant village in the Soviet Union being taken over by modernization. And I don't know, I may not wind up reading this, but how could you pass up something by an author named Valentine Rasputin? And I got this book, Private Lives in the Imperial City by John Leonard. I think this is a collection of nonfiction pieces or essay type or belles lettres type things he wrote. I've heard good things about it. Not sure it's really going to be for me, but I have never seen it before, so I figured I should grab it. And let's see. Oh, this was so exciting! I could not believe I found this. This is A Game of Thrones by George R. R. Martin. I mean, these books are so popular now, especially with they were always popular, but now with the TV series, I never thought I would find any of them, let alone the first one at the book thing. But I have no idea if I'm ever actually going to read these because they are huge, and everybody else has read them, so why? But I might, because I've seen only the first season of the show so far, but I really liked it, and in fact I took the Sean Ben character as one of my role models. In fact, when people ask me what my position is, I just say, like, have you ever seen Game of Thrones? I'm Sean Ben. But like when they ask me what I do, which unfortunately not to be spoilery, but he doesn't end up so well, but maybe I can avert that part. And then I got A Rage in Harlem by Chester Himes. Himes is one of the hard-boiled greats. I have not read him before, but I really like the movie, so hope this is good. Then I got November Morns by Tom Piccirilli. No idea if this is going to be good. It looks like sort of a horror suspense type book. I picked it up because it's Bantam Spectra, and they're a really good imprint. And this looks awfully like another Bantam Spectra book I picked up by Christopher Golden called Wildwood Road. And I just picked that up on a whim and wound up really, really liking it. So I hope I can judge a book by its cover. And then I got Greener Than You Think by Ward Moore. This is a great science fiction classic. In fact, the cover tells us so. And moving right along, I got this French book, Les Noces Barbares, or The Barbarian Weddings, by Jan Kefelec. I'm not sure what this is, I had never heard of it before, but it sounds pretty interesting. It's a novel. And then I got Les Combustibles by Amélie Nothomb. I read her novel Stupeur et Tremblement, or Fear and Trembling, and I really, really liked it, and also really enjoyed the film, so hope she continues to please. And then I got The Penguin Book of French Verse, Volume 3, The 19th Century. These Penguin books of verse are really cool because they have the English translation, but they also have the, I'm going to hold it up, but the print is tiny. They also have the original language. And last but not least, I got A History of Western Art by Michael Levy. This is a volume in the Prager World of Art series, which I really enjoy. And if you've made it this far, thanks for watching, and I hope you'll join me for my next video.